Excellence isn't just a goal, it's a tradition. It's about vibrant neighborhoods, strong infrastructure, and dependable services when you need them most. This city gets the job done. Committed to meeting the needs of our growing community. More than plans, we're people. Through the dedication of our employees and the voices of our residents, we've built a city that stands out. Offering safety, community, and opportunity. Together, we are Round Rock. Family friendly, forward thinking, and always leading the way.
Beautiful place, Mayor. Beautiful city.
If that video doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will.
What do you think about when you see things like that, knowing the role you've played in many of the things we saw up there?
Yeah, I think that Round Rock. Before I get started, I think there's a couple of reasons for success. Prior leadership. It's so important in the planning and stuff. And so, we've been blessed with that leadership. Really, the time I got into office and moving forward, it was really, just don't screw it up. It's headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I've got a great city council. This is, it says our state of the city, but it's our state of the city. So I want my council members to stand up again and be recognized, because these people put in so much time, effort. They love their community and they serve it. And they've done so much for me these last, 5 years with health. And then secondly, another reason we're very successful is our city staff. I'll put this staff up against any city in the country. They work hard, they're passionate, that video shows it. And so if you're here and you're city staff, please stand up. And where's our fearless leader? I can't see her. Oh, right here. And lastly, what I will say, the people clearly make it a special place and make it important. And as you know, the thing that we've got to continue to do, why you see things like that, is because we continuously focus on our core services and don't get in the weeds on other stuff that don't matter. Number one, there are people out there that will be, that try to cause chaos. We've seen it in the last couple of months. But what I can tell you is this city will stay focused and stay above the noise and continue to focus on our core services, which are demanded by our citizens to continue to be the best place to live in America.
Well, I've been here for 20 years now, and just the change is one thing to deal with. The people change, the buildings change, but it seems like the message, at least since I've been here, has always been consistent. When you look back at 2024, what is the message of Round Rock?
I think just get into yes. There's so many challenges, with growth and stuff, and we've got so much stuff going on that we'll address. But one thing I've always prided ourselves on, as long as I've been here, is that we get to the answer yes, not no. And you see our permitting process is much faster than most cities. Our infrastructure is continuing. There's so many things that we've done, and so I just think it's always getting to yes. And then always remember what our responsibility is. And I will say this, and I've said it over and over, we have too many elected leaders that forget what their core responsibility is at all levels of government. And it's a vitriol toward each other. And we've been fortunate enough that we have healthy discussions, but we don't yell at each other. We're going to be very respectful and try to come up with solutions, because again, that's what our citizens demand.
All right, let's get to the program. We've got this divided up into different categories like we do every year. Thanks for having me back, by the way.
Of course.
I look forward to that call when you call me and say, hey, would you be willing to do it again?
Of course.
Of course I would. I'm glad to be back. Let's start in downtown Round Rock, an area that you've really been concerned with growing and improving over the years. And specifically, let's start with the library, which I was passed just not too long ago. Beautiful building. I know that was part of a bond that passed several years ago, and it's finally finished. It's finally up and running, named a top city service for resident satisfaction. How happy are you with how that came?
That was one of those things that, we always knew that was going to be the last project built out of that prior bond. And, we couldn't find land. We bought some land, and it just didn't feel right. It kept going back. It needs to be in our core downtown. And, to see the success of it in just year one is mind-boggling. They do a great job there. As you said, it was rated one of the best city services. I mean, you see people in there all the time when I walk in there. There's people doing different things. It's just a great place to gather. They do a lot of good programming. And so it's been wildly successful, and I'm very ecstatic about that.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. Heritage Trail West had some hurdles.
Sure.
We talked about that. An update on that 1 mile addition. What does that mean and going to mean to downtown?
So now now it connects Heritage West, connects Mays, all the way to Chisholm. And so, we did run into some issues with our contractor, but we got it up and running. We did a lot of renovation in Memorial Park. When I was down there, it looks fabulous. Mm-hmm. And so, people, I can't build enough trails. We're focusing on, we got another one from Lake Creek, the Lake Creek Trail from Round Rock West into Centennial Plaza. So what we're trying to do is just have these trails connect all across our city and then up into other parts of the county.
Gets people out, gets people involved.
Sure.
Another area, lawn at Brushy Creek. The lawn at Brushy Creek is something I know you're excited about.
Very excited about that. We bought, that's a bond 2025 project. Hopefully we start next year. And that's, some land between right off Georgetown Street, all the way down to, it's right in there, that area. Yeah. And that'll be, basically, it's going to be another gathering place for us. It's something that I think people love, and I think it's starting to bring the focus in to Brushy Creek. Yeah. That'll also help connect that trail, Brushy Creek Trail, all the way to from Georgetown to May Street. Mm-hmm. So.
The water tower is an area a lot of people focus on when they drive past and stop in downtown. And I know there are some plans, right, to do some work to enhance the kind of the visitor experience at this water.
Sure. There's been a lot of different interest in that piece of property. And, we've had developers approach us, from a hotel to multifamily condo unit living. But, I think the people and just, it's kind of crazy. You drive all over Texas and everybody has a water tower. But it seems like our water tower, that's what sets us apart for whatever reason. And so we wanted to make it very, passive in the sense to have people gathering. And so the more people that we can generate into our downtown area, the more success all our businesses will have.
How many pictures do you think you've taken in front of the water tower since you've been the mayor?
Oh, several.
I think I've got several dozen of those. Let's move to our second segment. It's quality of life, and we're going to start with a big project that I know you're really eager to talk about. But we've got a video as well to talk about quality of life, and we're talking about what's happening and ongoing at Old Settlers Park.
For nearly 40 years, Old Settlers Park has been a staple in the Round Rock community, a place where all could come to enjoy the numerous amenities offered and create lasting memories at the different fields, courts, trails, and even the water park. Not to mention the many different events our park has been home to over the years. OSP has served the community well, but as Round Rock has grown, so have wants and needs of the community. Now it's important for the park to grow and meet those needs. The Old Settlers Park expansion is happening, and with it are coming some big changes. we are transforming what was once an open field into a space that can meet a variety of different needs. Large rec fields for sports, a brand new 2-story rec center for indoor training, classes, and much more, as well as a full track and field complex to add even more new opportunities. Expansions are also coming to our existing facilities at Rock and River and the multipurpose complex. To keep up with growing interest, we are building a brand new pickleball and tennis complex that features a community seating area, standalone pickleball courts, numerous tennis courts, and multiple shade structures throughout the complex. The Lakeview area is getting an overhaul with the expansion in the form of a new stage and pavilion. The stage will be a permanent feature of the Lakeview area and a new home to many of our concerts and events. The pavilion will feature 2 levels for more shade and great views of our newly built stage, as well as Bright Lake. To bring everything together, some big changes have to be made to the location of Harrell Parkway. Redirecting the road allows for the construction of a tunnel that will connect Lakeview to the rec complex, as well as the construction of a pedestrian walking bridge. These changes bring the long-desired separation of pedestrian and vehicular traffic. The goal of the expansion is to create a park that better serves the community it's in, and that offers more ways for those in and out of the community to engage with and utilize the park in new and exciting ways. None of this would be possible without the support, input, and feedback of the amazing citizens here in Round Rock. The future of the park has been, in part, shaped by you, and we are excited to embrace the community vision as we work to create a park for a better tomorrow.
It's a great space. It really is going to be amazing when that's all said and done.
Yeah, it's clearly of the projects out of the 2023 bond, it's clearly the largest and the most significant. It will take us to build out on that park, but I look forward to it because that sports tourism, former Mayor McGraw used to always say, it's the purest form of economic development. Mm-hmm. And when we can bring people in and have these national tournaments and expand in this to be able to get into even more national tournaments, that brings hotel motel tax and sales tax, which helps keep our property taxes one of the lowest in Central Texas and one of the lowest in the state for a city our size. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to have to be patient. We were out there for light up the lake, and the staff has always did an amazing job, but just to see all the work going on, and our events are just, they just get bigger and bigger. Juneteenth, 4th of July. We just held the Diwali Festival recently in our downtown. That's probably getting so big that it's going to have to move out there. And I just think that a lot of people, it brings the community together, and it brings, all people together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what keeps the unity and the commitment to our city, because we get to know each other. And we can talk and have some hard conversations. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it all done.
Let's talk about, let me take a tangent real quick about the bond that passed in 2023. We talked a lot about that at this point last year. To see how far it's come already, the process between getting it passed, figuring out what to do once it's passed, and then getting that put into action, that seems to be going pretty quickly here. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, I believe so. I said, we made a commitment to our citizens that when this starts, we would try to get everything under construction or built within the next 5 to 7 years. The good thing that helped us on most of the bond here is we own all the land. And so you don't have the challenge like you have with the library trying to negotiate a deal for a piece of land. So it does allow us to, free up. It allows multiple projects to go on. And so it's moving right now at a fast rate and pace.
Yeah,
sure.
It sure is. That's going to be amazing to see that. And you mentioned the sports and bringing, youth sports and the tournaments and things that happen here. The sports center has been a huge part of that. I live not far from there, and it's constantly full. I can go to Pine House and can't get a table most Saturday nights because of it. What is the expansion there going to look like, and where is that progress?
Yep. So that's already underway. A lot of times I think some of us forget the sports center because it kind of sets off versus, our 700-acre park that just sits in the middle of our community. But it'll expand the courts to 8 courts and a championship court. And so hopefully we'll get that done in the next year or so. But again, that generated, almost $558 million from, spending from visitors that come here. And I think that equates out to about 54 million in sales tax and hotel tax revenues. And so that's another one. People love it. The thing that really benefits Round Rock is our location is really key. We're in the center of the state. People are trying to cut costs and save money. And so, we're 3 hours from Dallas, an hour from San Antonio, 3 hours from Houston, down into the valley. We're just a prime location to host these events, and I think that's why we continue to get them. Plus, we service them very well. Our staff, again, they're out there night and day making sure that the experience for the public is a good one, and for the participants.
Do you worry that too many people will come here and like it too much?
Well, people always say that,
it's crowded sometimes. Right. For my HEB is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that people always ask me about that, but we're going to continue to do what we're doing. It seems to be working, and hopefully, and that's a really good point. Just because of the growth, and we're seeing it. To me, it seems like it's picked up even more. But I think one thing, I think you're getting a couple of effects. You're getting the Samsung effect. You're getting people that want to kind of get out of the big city. You can live, work, and play right here. For a city in Williamson County, this city has done really well on its planning, its infrastructure, its quality of life is improved daily. And I just think it's a place people want to be.
I would agree with that for sure. All right, let's go to our next topic. It's public safety. And I do want to start this segment talking a bit about June of last summer and the tragedy that happened during the Juneteenth festival. 2 women were killed, Ayra Duke and Lindsay Vignier. 14 others were hurt that night. Just a terrible day in Round Rock's history. As the mayor, what's been your assessment of how that case has progressed, how it was handled that night? And then, where it stands currently, what you can and can't tell us.
Yeah. First of all, it's something you think about quite a bit. You never think that it can happen to your community. It was the worst call I got from our city manager. Since I've been here, it's one of the worst calls. And you never, when the city manager's calling you in the middle of the night, you never like that, because she's not calling you about good news. And, just to lose 2 women, Miss Vignier and Miss Duke, they have families. And this holiday season, they're not getting to celebrate with those families. But what I will say, and I think about them all the time, and I think about their families, and I think the whole city does, and I think the city staff does. But what I will say is that because of our public safety training that is done daily, and examining every event we do to make sure our people are safe, our PD, our Parks and Rec, that night, because of their training, saved a lot of lives too. Don't ever underestimate how important that is. And what I know, what I can say, is that the PD will continue to investigate it. It is still under investigation, and any person that was responsible that night will be brought to justice. And our police force is not going to sleep on it. They've not forgotten about it. And they will continue to do it to bring justice for these families, or the best justice that can be brought. As I've said, it was a cowardly act. There's no other way to put it. But we as a city are susceptible to this stuff because our events, most of them are open air, big events that you can't, people will figure out a way to break the security and breach it. So we have to continue to invest in our public safety yearly to make sure that they have the tools and the things they need to make sure our city and our citizens feel safe.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that training. I was lucky enough with Chief Banks a few months ago to go through the training center. Unbelievable facility that's here in Round Rock. And he was telling me departments from all over come here because it's A, first class, B, it does everything they need right in one place. How vital, in light of the horrific events of June, how vital is that public safety training center that's right here in Round Rock?
Well, I think it's vital for a number of reasons. As I mentioned, you can do the training here in your own backyard, number one. So you're not having to send officers and officials off to other cities and communities to do the necessary training. It allows them to do it, I think, more frequently. It allows them to analyze all the different things that they have to be prepared for. You just never know what it could be. Massive car wreck on 35. Unfortunate, hopefully never happens, school shooting. So you've got to train for those things. And the only way you are prepared for them is through the training. And, I know many people received a mailer from Pitt and the PD against the council and the mayor. But let me assure you, none of that came from the city, and none of it came from our police department. We're hiring 10 new officers this year, 6 new firemen, because our citizens demand to be safe, and that's where we're going to focus and continue to focus to make sure that we are. And as technology happens and evolves, we'll make sure that the chief and his team and fire chief and his team all have the tools necessary, because it's not cheap. $70 million worth of our budget goes to police and fire, out of about $169 million general fund. So very important stuff.
Well, you mentioned the mailer, so let me ask you about that. I got one. It says, reduce 911 call times. You need to hire more detectives, dedicate a specialized unit to human trafficking, drug trafficking, and sex trafficking along the interstate. When you see something like that, what's your first inclination? What do you think is trying to be done with something like that?
Well, my first inclination is I get pissed off. Because it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for us as elected leaders that have focused on really committing to public safety. And as long as I've been here, that commitment has been strong, number one. Number two, it irritates me for our law enforcement, who we have a chief and a team that attend, over 300 events a year, reaching out to the public. And all that's doing is trying to create some doubt and some chaos to our citizens. And then the PD has to explain, well, no, that wasn't us, vice versa. But when you can't put your name on a mailer, you shouldn't be sending it. I think there was a story run the other day on it. I think that, it's very similar to the Keep Round Rock Safe pack. And, we're going to stay above it. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to stay above it. People can keep doing this. People can keep trying to cause this chaos. We're not going to bite. They need to go to other cities, other places that want to have that chaos, but not here.
Absolutely. The city celebrated the official opening of Fire Station one. That was a big day on Old Settlers Boulevard. How important is it to have that station specifically?
Sure. You know, that was one of the first projects that we got done. That was from the 2023 project, the bond. It's important for response times. It's crucial that our fire team can get to where they need to get as quick as possible. And so that anytime you put new stations in areas, it clearly helps reduce the time and also relieves some of the other stations that may have been going over there. So, you know, it's one of the upcoming, another bond project that is going to happen is fire station number 10. We'll be breaking ground on it soon. It's going to be at Redbud and Old Settlers. You know, people are like, well, that seems kind of close, but you've got all the northeast quadrant that they get calls up to. And so if we can reduce those times, you know, because all the growth is really heading up, as we all know, through the northeast.
That's one of two in the works.
That's right.
Or in the planning stage.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, number 4, legislative session is about to begin. I know that's always a lot of people pay attention. It's every other year, and this is our year, January the 14th. They'll gavel in. We're about to have that session. As the mayor of a city the size of Round Rock, what issues in this Texas legislative session are you paying attention? Should your citizens be paying attention to?
Yeah, so I want to thank both Representative Busey and Harris Davila for being here. I have an open and candid conversations with them. I'm not going to be someone different, and I'm going to tell them both when I'm upset, and I'm going to tell them both when I'm happy. You know, the thing for me is since I took the role of mayor in 2017, the attack on local control has been underway. And that's the facts. And there have been bad bills that have given us unintended consequences, but yet we're the ones that have to deal with the issue. For example, Senate Bill 2038 allows people in the ETJ to disannex out of our ETJ. And why they do that is it helps them to get around development standards and other stuff. And what has happened, we have a situation over by Mud in East Round Rock, East Round Rock, this just past year. And we had a whole neighborhood of people coming in and yelling at us because the developer had disannexed out of Hutto's ETJ. And what you get, they were going to build a package plant right next to a school. Everybody know what a package plant is? Wastewater. And who's going to take care of that wastewater when the developers build their homes, build their stuff, and leave? So the unintended consequence is all this development that's going out to prime real estate. If I was Hutto and Taylor and Georgetown, I'd be massively concerned what's about to be built in between our cities with development standards and stuff. And so I think that what I look for is a legislature that can think that, look, we get elected by our people, just like they do. And we at the local level, we know best. We're in the community every day, front and center. And what the focus happens on is you get focused on things that don't matter. I mean, there was a bill filed the other day for the District of Austin. Are you kidding me? If that's what's important right now? Let me tell you what's important. Water infrastructure. What are we going to do about that? We've been pretty fortunate at Round Rock that we have planned. The grid. Everybody says it's fixed. Ask my city manager how many calls she gets from neighborhoods, hey, my power's out and it's 75 degrees outside. So my deal is let us lead. Quit worrying about Austin and the anti-Austin group. Those people were elected. And what I see is that there's been much more power centralized at the state versus the local. And that's not how Texas was founded, and that's not how the Texas experience was founded. It was founded on local control with the tools that we can do. So as I always try to tell our council, we're going to focus on what our responsibilities are. The legislature needs to focus on what their responsibilities are. It's worked for a number of years, but now it's just gotten to be that we're the bad guys. And so anything that takes local control away is a concern to me. So anything we watch is about, okay, what does this do to us locally? What does this do to us locally? And then lastly, I've been very vocal about it, and I'm going to be very vocal about it again. Clearly, the biggest issue facing us this session is going to be the voucher bill. You already see it lining up. You already see the party can't get on the same page to elect a speaker. It is a fight that will hurt, in my opinion, local communities like Round Rock. There is no place for them. People come to this community because of our public education system. And just like the city, are we perfect? No. Our school district probably will tell you, our trustees will probably tell you, they're not perfect. But you know what? We've been pretty damn successful in Round Rock, Texas, at the city level and at the public education level. Let us do our job.
I think that's good for that segment.
All right.
Do you need a drink or anything?
No.
Everybody okay out there still? We got everybody?
Sorry, I get a little passionate about it.
I like it. That's why I like coming here, because you tell it like it is, and I think a lot of people appreciate that. Our next one is a good one, economic development. I know that Round Rock, in the 20 years I've lived here, that's not been something the city's been shy about, is developing and expanding. When it comes to economic development in the city, no company that I can remember in my time here has had a bigger impact than Dell. And this year, the relationship between the city and Dell took a pretty big step, a pretty far-reaching step this year.
Yeah, so a couple things. Dell's been a great partner with the city. They've been involved in the community, and that's important, and that's what I hope happens in Taylor with Samsung. I hope Samsung is committed to the city that they built in, like Dell has been committed to us. And it's been a great working partnership, and the council voted to extend that Dell agreement to 2099 to make sure, because they still get recruited, folks. There are people that are still offering a lot of money to take them away, and we want them here. And we want to make sure they understand the importance of how we believe in them. They have the amount of money that has generated off of them, over $400-something million, I believe I'm correct. Their impact just to the city of Round Rock, not to mention the state of Texas, not to mention the United States, not to mention the world, is very important. And, we just found out just last week that we won our comptroller's case, and so that has gone away. But again, that's a local issue being dealt with a state agency trying to determine what's the best way to do our sales tax sourcing. You were about to cripple communities if you changed it. And so we'll watch that too. I don't think it's going away, but we did soundly win that case.
The opportunity, the economic development opportunities that happen, you think about the ones in the companies that actually move to places, but retaining them, like you just spoke to, is important too whenever you're in a community like this. How big is it to keep companies like Dell, Kalahari, places like that, happy while they're in a city like that?
Sure, and I think that's, I said something to a group of people yesterday. I think government that doesn't use the private sector ought to be ashamed of themselves or partner with the private sector. There's no government program that I've seen that's been just wildly successful that's been created, right? But from the private sector, there's a lot of things that have been created that are good. And so it's very important with Jordan and her team. They do a great job at retaining our businesses and doing business retention. We don't want to lose anybody. Now, we know sometimes things happen and you're gonna lose them. But everyone that we lose, we gain something in return for someone else coming in. We're doing the Chamber's wrapping up their strategic development, their strategic plan. We haven't done one in a while. A lot of it, we got a high-level presentation the other day. A lot of it, we're doing a lot of good things. But again, there's things we have to improve on. And one of those things that came out of the last one was kind of the aging of our retail centers. And if everybody knows Rock Creek Plaza, what a change that has happened there. And, Adam and his team have done magnificent out there. And we're seeing some of that talk of trying to help other shopping areas that have aged a little, because we do have some places that have aged. And a lot of it's just trying to get a hold of the actual owners to let them know that we're open to changing, their PUD or maybe their zoning to allow them to do something to even have a better use for their property.
Those small businesses are essential, aren't they? I mean, when you're growing about 2,000 to 2,500 citizens a year, a great ramen spot on the corner is a pretty good deal, isn't it?
Right. Well, I think it allows people to stay here, spend your money here, number one. Number two, I think the greatest benefit that I don't think people recognize is that 20% of our property taxes from the general fund comes from the residential properties. That's it. 20%. And a lot of that's because of our commercial development and our business community that help offset that. And so we got to be good partners with them. They're paying, less services are used on businesses. I mean, the cost for residential is so much greater than what you deal with in the commercial side, but yet the commercial side has paid a good fair share to help, that helps offset our property tax and keep it, again, one of the lowest in Central Texas.
When you've got Samsung, we've talked about that in these in the past, and you've got other huge corporations and businesses that are moving to places that aren't Round Rock. How competitive is it from the city standpoint? I know the Chamber and Economic Development have other things they focus on, but from a city perspective, how competitive is it right now in that economic development space?
I think for me, and I don't, I'm not the expert, but I've delved into economic development before I went to law school. So I think for me, yes, it's very competitive. It's kind of like on the sports side. Cities are building things. I mean, they're building big complexes. So you always worry about that. You worry about, does it take away from our events? Same way along with the economic development. My concern about economic development is not really the competition from the cities in Texas. My concern is Round Rock, Texas is competing against states. I mean, there are states that are handing out dollars. I mean, just printing money.
You want to name some? Who are they?
Tennessee, give me some more. So, but yeah. They're out there. Ohio, I think, is giving some money. Arizona, so the state plays a very active role, and the state plays a very active role. I think that's the one thing the state has done very well, is they've given us a lot of good economic development tools. There's no doubt that the governor is pro-economic development. The only challenge is that to not pit Texas cities against each other, their package doesn't come in until they've narrowed it down to one city. Well, could it made a difference if they said, hey, all three cities, Texas is going to commit $20 million, so you can put it as part of your state package. That way, we're not setting up against one of these states and they're looking at it just going, well, we may get the state one, we may not, but we got three places in Texas we want to be. Now, it's different if you've got one, but that doesn't always happen. There's been several times it's been down to two or three. And so, I understand kind of the philosophy, but that's something I wish that the governor's office would re-examine and look at to help whenever Jordan's out with a big company and they want to come, but looks like a $20 million difference if they went to Tennessee versus here.
Complicated issue.
It's a very complicated issue. Yeah. But Jordan and her team do great, and the Chamber's strong as it's ever been.
Yeah, it's a great place for sure for businesses right here. Finally, infrastructure is our last one. We're blowing right through these.
Man,
Are you good? Do we need
I'm
to
good.
slow down at all? I don't want to go too fast, but I also got some questions on infrastructure that might take a few minutes, if that's good.
Sure.
Let's talk about water and the city's plan to keep the water running for residents here in Round Rock. A huge part of that, the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority. I know that's a partnership that's so far worked pretty well, it seems. How's that gone? How does the future look for that partnership?
Sure, I think, that was city leaders at a time coming together and collaborating and getting it done. A prime example of local governments working together to make things happen. And so I think the partnership has been really good. I mean, are there moments when there can be some tensions between the cities? Sure, because leaders change. I had a former mayor pro tem tell me that good plans are good plans no matter what. What messes up the plans are the people. And so we as leaders, as much as we may want to get into it, we were, one of the three cities, I think, we were much more ahead of the game with water and our water resources, but we needed some additional water, and it was a perfect thing for us to get in. And that was years ago. Now, if you sit around and listen for the cost of water, I mean, it is crazy. And the problem is, as I told a group yesterday, us as local leaders have to have political will to do these things and finance these things. They cost money. But tell your citizens what they, where it is, what it's going to do. And I think that's something that our city has done really well, is we've been very transparent on things. That's why I think you see bonds overwhelmingly pass. They've been very supportive of, our water and our reuse and conservation efforts. That helps us. We're going to continue to look at that. The deep water intake on the BCRA, we're a couple of years away from that being built. That'll add about 20 million gallons a day to us. We didn't have to use that right away. We thought we were going to take water in 2014, but it got delayed for a number of years because of our conservation efforts. After, as I tell the story, in 2011, our city manager at the time came in and said, hey, we're going to have to turn all the pumps are off. 30 days from being out of water. It's eye-popping, especially if you're going to a council meeting. And that day that happened, there was about a 45 million gallon day use of water. When all outdoor restrictions went in, it dropped to about 12 million. That's where the water use is the issue. And cities have to have foresight to not make people put San Augustine in their yards, have xeriscape stuff. And that's something we've done and we've tried to do and we will continue to do to help our development community to make sure they're being wise for us, because we have water through our build out. But we're going to continue to look at sources. You don't put it up and say, oh, well, we don't need to worry about it anymore. And so that process is going on, groundwater, wells within the city. It's a huge issue, and we'll still continue to focus. And I hope, the state really makes this a top priority on how to, because now it's starting to, you're seeing some things where cities are being pitted against cities because one city's trying to pull water from another city. So it gets really, water has been one of the hardest things to truly understand. And Councilmember Flores has been on BCRA for a while. Councilmember Montgomery just took Councilmember Baker's spot, and they keep us informed on it, but they're knowledgeable of it. And so it'll be a continued issue to kind of see. But you're seeing cities having to put moratoriums on development.
That's a bad sign if you see that.
That's not a good sign.
What about reuse is important? Why is that going to be something you think maybe in the future? Or do you think maybe in the future reuse is going to be something that you see more and more of? Oh, we're going to try to put purple pipe everywhere we can. Most of it's on the east side right now, and every chance we get to do something, we're in the process with development to try to get some started on the west side. But that allows us to water Forest Creek, golf course, our parks,
things like that. So that's not potable water being used. And so what that does is every gallon that you can use as reuse, that kind of gives you more potable use. And so it's very important to this community, and it's expensive. There's no doubt. But, we have a great relationship with the development community. They work with us, and they help share some of the cost.
All right, let's talk about some road projects. Those are always fun, aren't they?
Man.
I'm just gonna go quick through some of these, and if you could give me just a few thoughts on either progress, how it's going to affect traffic in the area, and I'm going to start with one near and dear to my heart: Wyoming Springs. I drive past it every day, and it's amazing to see the progress that's already being made, but it seems like a long way out still.
Sure. I think that project will move a lot faster. With traffic projects, most of them usually take on average a couple of years. It's the 5 years before trying to get all the plans. Well, what happens within 5 years? More growth, so that's the tough part about roads. Wyoming Springs is something that has needed to be done. It gives us another north-south corridor right there along with Creek Bend. That one ought to have little impact on the community, unlike some of these other ones you're about to mention. And it ought to be done relatively quickly.
Yeah. All right, Gaddis School Road.
Woo, man.
I know a lot of people travel on Gaddis School Road.
So let's start with Kenny Fort Boulevard.
You want to start with that one? Ease into it. Let's ease into it.
Yeah, let's start there.
Okay, Kenny Fort.
So it's open. So all kidding aside, our staff worked really hard. During COVID, we ran into some issues. And then kind of later on, there was some stuff with the contractor. And for us to have tried to break that contract, we would have delayed it anymore. And the whole purpose of that Kenny Fort project was to help relieve the Gaddis School stuff. Well, guess what? When Gaddis School started from, A.W. Grimes area, Double Creek to Green Line, Kenny Fort was still closed, and we heard it.
Peaceful calls.
Oh, man. Yeah. And so it's open, so we're hoping that will help relieve some of the traffic. Then we're getting ready to do Red Bud to the Fellowship Church. That's the next part of Gaddis School Road. So I will just tell you, if you live on the east side of Round Rock, I hear you, I see you, and we're going to do it as fast as we can, but it's going to be a pain. And it's going to be painful for that side of town. But when we look at all this stuff, we do try to look at thoroughfares to help relieve potential issues. And so I do hope with the Kenny Fort opening that it will relieve, some of the people that are trying to get onto 45 and get into Austin.
That's always part of the plan.
Yeah.
Try to keep people moving
right
where they can move.
And the traffic light signals, they'll get worked. It takes time to get all the patterns right. We've gotten some complaints on that, but this is tough. These are tough things. These impact people's lives daily, and I understand that.
By the time we sit here next year, will it be done?
Which one? Gaddis? No.
Just wanted to see if I could get that.
So don't even ask that. I'm just telling you right now.
So we'll talk about it next year? Okay.
2 years maybe.
I'll make a note of that. County Road 112.
Yeah, that's another project. That'll be, I believe, a 6-lane highway, and that is under construction. And again, I don't want to put timelines on when they're going to be done. Usually it's an average of a couple of years. And but again, that's another one that's, pretty wide open. And, obviously what makes Gaddis School so tough is all the right-of-way issues. You've got a lot better right-of-way issues and stuff that we've done with the development community, since I've been here, is we get right-of-ways granted to us. That way we're not fighting for it, and we know we have it if we need to expand ultimately.
Old Settlers extension, I know that's been in the works.
That's good. You can see it working right now. That'll connect to County Road 110, so that gives some more east-west corridor that gets people off 79. Of course, that pushes people to Old Settlers, and Old Settlers is getting to be a busy road as well. I think all the roads are getting to be busy, unfortunate, but we'll continue to try to stay ahead of it. I mean, we've done our road work in progress, and we did over $240 million in the last one, and we'll probably approach that again in the future with other projects coming.
I want to ask you about that, and this is the final question I've got for you. You mentioned your council, yourself, the job you have changes every day to keep people moving, fed, water in their sinks. With projects like we've talked about today, how would you describe the partnerships you have with the people that make the decisions here in Round Rock and the input you get from the citizens in this current day and age? How is that working for the city of Round Rock?
I think it works well. We just recently, this is an example, but it applies to transportation as well. We just recently had an open house for our downtown, to re-examine our zoning down there, and we're getting requests for building heights. So we've been having discussions, getting community input to try to figure out what is that right fit, where does it look? And so I think that happens with road projects. I think that the city does what the city does really well is we try to keep people informed, and let them know this is going to be painful, but it will get better. And, a lot of time, let's be honest, we as Americans have short-term memories, and so people will forget that Kenny Fort's been a year delayed.
You think?
Oh yeah, hopefully. But it's things like that and because when they see it and it actually is done, and there's some things that as I've talked to staff and all that, we had some missteps on our part, but and that stops with me and the council, and we've had that discussion. But we got some things in place, because that's really the first time that's ever happened since I've been here, where you've had something that was, where it was delayed that caused much more, safety issues. I mean, those that, Gaddis School where they're working, I guess they go through 2 school zones, and there's kids walking out in those school zones. And so it's something that we will always try to be transparent with. I mean, we've won a number of transparency awards from the comptroller's office, and that's something that we've always done. Tell the people. Don't play around with it. Tell them. Be honest with them. And I think people appreciate that. I've had some hard meetings with people that wanted something that there was just no way we were going to be able to do it. They didn't walk away hating me. They probably weren't happy with me. But they were heard. And I think that's as important as anything, is that our people feel like they've been heard. When they've been heard, it makes it easier for us to move forward. And then when we have the hiccups, then you can, and again, light up the lake. I mean, our next couple events out there are going to be, 2 of our biggest events. And, we'll make sure the public understands there's a lot of work going on. But when that gets done, that park's, it's already world class. It's going to be even more world class. Just what's going to be able to be done out there. And the safety, talking about safety on Harold Parkway, is going to be immense and very important. We've been fortunate that we haven't had injuries, because people have to walk across Harold Parkway, and people are, they're not looking. They're looking to see where they need to park. And so, you always have those concerns. And, but I love this team. I love this city. Their heart, I'm sitting there looking at Rick and his team this Friday, this past Friday night. I'm freezing. They've been out there all day in it.
Yeah.
But man, they're working and they're working and they're working to make sure the people get the experience that they want. And that's so important for us as council members, because in the grand scheme of things, we don't get too many dirty emails, believe it or not. And I attribute that to the staff and the work that the staff does, because they're the ones out there every day working. We have other jobs. We have to work. And so it makes it a lot easier when things like that happen, and they'll continue moving forward.
All right, Mayor, this has been a great conversation, but we're not done just yet.
Okay.
I know you have a very special person that you want to recognize before we finish.
I do. We're going, let me, as many of you know, our city manager, Lori Hadley, retired.
She's shaking her head.
And she's shaking her head because she's going to be mad at me, but I don't care. Because she deserves it. You know, the public got to recognize her last Thursday night. The council got to recognize her. You know, but Lori's impact on this community, and to hear the people come up and talk about her leadership and how it's impacted women. You know, just to hear our council members, our female council members talk about how, you know, her leadership inspired them. You know, and now, you know, we're a majority-run female council. And yeah, clap. I mean, but you know, she's had, you know, we see all the big things that Lori has done. But I think what you know, I said the other day that I really, some of the things that she's done, talking about getting the dirty emails and stuff. So when I first came back on, when I first became mayor, I said, we got to do something about transparency, and we got to do something to educate people on social media because they are wearing us out and it's no truth. So we started a university program. We have citizens that love it. Citizens that used to attack us are now defending us because they learn how hard each of the department heads work and the staff works. We've expanded that to teen university, started a health clinic. We started the cleaning up of downtown on a daily basis. Those are the little things that no one thinks about. And on top of all that, she's kept her team, for the most part, together. And that's hard to do because I'll tell you, every one of these department heads, they could go be city managers anywhere they want right now in Texas, at a city our size, bigger, whatever. And I know they get their doors knocked on. But they have stayed and they've been committed, and Lori will not take any credit for it. But let's be honest. Any organization has to have a leader at the top. And that's what she's done. She's a great friend. I'm going to miss the hell out of her. You know, I've told this story, I don't know if you've heard it, but in 2017, we had to do a personality test. And she and I did not end up, we ended up in the same category. And the gentleman said, oh, this is going to be a hard road. So I started thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm either going or she's going. But no, we have built a bond. I have the utmost respect for her. I will always, I know where her heart is. There were a lot of times we were texting past her bedtime. And she's just an important lady to me. So we got a little video for you, so let's roll that video and I'll wrap up my comments.
All right. Consider a presentation in appreciation of City Manager Lori Hadley's 37 years of public service. Round Rock City Manager Lori Hadley has dedicated nearly 14 years to shaping one of the most vibrant cities in Texas. Her leadership, marked by vision, collaboration, and genuine care for others, has transformed Round Rock into a thriving community prepared for growth. Lori guided transformative projects including public safety facilities, expanded parks, a state-of-the-art library, and critical infrastructure upgrades. She also brought new economic opportunities such as Kalahari Resorts, the nation's largest indoor water park. Lori turned the vision of city councils and residents into lasting progress. And as she transitions to retirement, her legacy will inspire and serve generations to come. We love you, Lori.
You've made me feel welcome, and you've taught me so much about what it takes to make sure that things run properly here in the city of Round Rock.
I wish you the very best in your new chapter in your life. Thank you, Lori, so much for being a part of our community.
I am grateful to have had you up there guiding us, and I'm really going to miss you. So I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done, and thank you from Round Rock.
I hope as you continue to live here, you drive around town and see everything that you've had a hand in, and we are so blessed that you were able to be here with us as long as you were, and that you spent your time making Round Rock the best place to live, work, and raise a family, and for that I'm thankful. I wish nothing but the best for you and your family. I hope you get to take a lot of really fun vacations, and come back to see us every once in a while.
Hey Lori, it's Renee. I understand you're retiring, and I am really happy for you. I know you put your time in over the years in different communities, but we certainly have appreciated you being here in Round Rock and doing all the good things that you've done. And I know you always told me I was your favorite council member, so I won't tell anybody about that. But good luck to you, best wishes. We love you. Thanks.
It's definitely been a motto of you that everyone's created equal and you want to look out for everyone, and I think that is to be admired, especially by me. So congratulations on your retirement. Thank you, Lori, for all that you've done for our city.
I just want to say that these last 13 years have been really awesome to work with you. As everybody knows, or as a lot of people know, you and I started on the same day 13 years ago, and I've watched you grow as a leader at this city. The impact that you've had will last a lifetime. You will be dearly missed. We owe you a debt of gratitude, the council, staff, and our citizens. So thank you for all that you have done.
Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Stand up. She's, as you can see, the impact that she's had on everyone, and you will be dearly missed, and you were a rock star during this time. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart and the rest of the council and the city staff and everybody in this room. You will be dearly missed, but we're not going to let you get too far away. All right? That's all I have.
That's it, Mayor. That's all we've got. Thanks for having me.
All right,
back.
appreciate it.
A lot of
Thank
fun.
you.
A lot of fun.